Hello everybody, and I am Rachel Leroy from Christian Emotional Recovery, and this is the YouTube channel Christian Emotional Recovery. I also run a podcast with the same name, and I have a website with the same name as well, christianemotionalrecovery.com. If you haven't, click the subscribe bell so you can get exclusive content that's exclusive to the YouTube channel, and also see the links in the show notes and go to the website and you can see different features that you can partake in there as well. For example, the email list at christianemotionalrecovery.com, and also check out the Christian Emotional Recovery Facebook group, which is linked below, and also the Christian Emotional Recovery podcast. And subscribe if you haven't already. But make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel because that one is where I'm trying to work on some growth. And also I have content here that you cannot get anywhere else. You can't get it in the podcast. You can only get it here. So subscribe and it's free. So thank you so much. Today I wanted to use a technique that I came up with when I first started the channel called the Acorn Technique. A.C.O.R.N Technique. Acorn is an acronym, and I wanted to use the Acorn Technique. Let me step back. The title of this podcast is called Practicing the Acorn Technique to Heal Anxiety. Practicing the Acorn Technique to Heal Anxiety. And what I wanted to do was take the Acorn Technique for dealing with difficult emotions. It's an acronym I came up with. I have an infographic on it that you can get for free if you sign up for the, it'll say free resource in the website, christianemotionalrecovery.com, christianemotionalrecovery.com, and then you'll see at the top free resource. If you sign up there, you can get that infographic. And it takes you through the steps of dealing with difficult emotions based on this acronym. So let me go through the acronym first, and then we'll talk a little bit about anxiety. I know a thing or two about anxiety, believe me. I am a worrywart. I struggle with anxiety. I've struggled with it my whole life. I've gotten better because of the healing work that I've done, but it's still an ongoing process. So I'm not telling you something about something I don't know something about. I'm telling you something about something I can totally relate to if anxiety is an issue for you. Now, we talk a lot about trauma, but I like to focus on specific emotions within trauma, and that's not to say everybody who suffers from anxiety has trauma. But overall, I would say more people do than don't. So first, let me look at, bear with me, I'm reading my computer here, so I'll look at my screen a little bit. But the ACORN acronym for dealing with difficult emotions, and that could be anger or depression, despair, anxiety, guilt, shame, whatever the case may be, any kind of difficult emotions. So you go through this process and you can use it in different ways. You can journal it out. You can go through the steps by, if you go to the YouTube channel and you look under playlists, you'll see meditations. I haven't had a lot made yet, but there is one, there's 4 different versions of using the Acorn technique to deal with difficult emotions. So that might be a resource to help you when you need to process a difficult emotion as well. You might also do your own meditation or other guided meditations, journaling, talking with a therapist, working it out in your own mind, praying it out. There's a lot of ways. You might talk it out on a recorder. Just make sure that any of these that you have are kept private so people don't find them, because that's between you and God. But let's go through the steps of dealing with a difficult emotion, and then we'll go through it in terms of how you would do it with anxiety, okay? And then I'm going to keep this kind of general and generic because, like I said, you can use the meditations if they're helpful. You can also go through each step and pause it and do a journal. I also have a I also have a podcast episode that goes through the steps of Acorn, but it's more for a general go through of Acorn with all difficult emotions. And this time we're going to focus on anxiety. So the first step in the Acorn acronym. Now the acronym stands for acceptance, compassion, objective curiosity, refocus, reframe, not layering, non-layering. Okay, those are the 5 steps, and that's what ACORN stands for, ACORN. And ACORN, obviously, is a metaphor for how we can be when we heal and we do this healing work. We plant a seed, and that seed doesn't do anything, but if we keep watering the seed and giving it fertilizer and sunlight and space and soil and nutrients, it will grow. And it grows gradually, and it takes time, and you have to keep nurturing it. So that's what happens when we do this repetitively, doing the healing work on difficult emotions, on trauma, on all of this. We start to grow, and we start to see the results, but it takes time, and it takes work. So the first step is what to do when difficult emotions come up. Acceptance. Acceptance. Recognize your emotion, identify it, and give it a name. Naming it makes it lose its power. Accept how you feel without judgment. Acknowledge and own the emotion. When I say own, I don't mean, oh, well, this is my fault. I mean, like, okay, this is how I feel. And there's no judgment, and it just is what it is, and that's okay. That's okay. Even if it's difficult, that's okay. And then the second step in dealing with difficult emotions is C, compassion. Compassion. Offer yourself open compassion and allow yourself to be surrounded by God's visceral love, like you can feel it while you feel the emotion. That takes practice, but it can be done. Offer yourself open compassion and allow yourself to be surrounded by God's visceral love while you feel the emotion. Maybe listening to some Christian music or some relaxing music with binaural beats or something like that might help you get into that more. Rest in that love. Rest in God's love. Picture the emotion with a background of open sky that is God's pure and infinite love. So you might do a meditation and just do that for a few minutes. Let that emotion spread out. Let it be as big as it is. When you feel it and when you think it, it's not that you like it. It's not that you're going to let yourself just completely sink into it. Don't do that. But it's just like, yes. That emotion is there. Yes. Don't say no. Don't push it away. Just say yes. It's okay. I don't like this, but yes. And that's where compassion is. Offer yourself open compassion and allow yourself to be surrounded by God's visceral love, tangible love, while you feel the emotion. Rest in that love. Picture the emotion with a background of open sky that is God's pure and infinite love. Objective curiosity is the third one. Objective curiosity. Explore the emotion with objective curiosity. You might do that in a meditation again. You might do it in a journal. But you might go through all these steps in one technique. It makes it easier. But you don't have to. And you can do some of these steps or skip some of the steps. But I encourage you at first to go through all the steps to make sure you're not re-traumatizing yourself and you're doing this properly, if that makes sense. So explore the emotion with objective curiosity. What does the emotion feel like? What is it? Where is it located in your body? What is the sensation or texture in your body? Gently feel it. Don't overwhelm yourself with it, but feel it a little bit at a time. What about this emotion in my body needs attention most now? There's usually parts inside of us, and if we listen, they'll tell us things. And so wherever that emotion's coming from, ask it, with compassion, without judgment, what do you need right now from me? What do you want me to know? What do you want to tell me? And then don't judge what comes up. Just let it be there and just listen like you would if you were talking to a child who's scared. In a way, it is your inner child, so be kind to it. And then what is it trying to tell you and why? Write it down or speak it out, and don't judge what you see or feel. I'll repeat that. Explore the emotion with objective curiosity. What does the emotion feel like? Where is it in your body? What is the sensation in your body? Gently feel it. What about this emotion in my body needs attention most now? What is it trying to tell me? Why? Write it down or speak it out. Don't judge what you see or feel. R, refocus, reframe. Refocus, reframe. Once you understand where the emotion came from, refocus and reframe the situation around it. Don't change the emotion or force it to go away. Instead, flip the script and change the narrative around the emotion. Apply the serenity prayer. If you might look up the serenity prayer and read it if you need to refresh your memory or if you don't know what I'm talking about. It's all over the internet. What can I change about the situation? What can I not change? Do I know the difference? That's part of the serenity prayer. Write down the answers and follow through on the answers, or reflect on it, speak it out, whatever works for you. You might do this with a therapist if they're willing to work with you. You might do it with a minister. You might journal it. You might speak it out loud. You might do it with a friend and help each other out. There's a lot of ways you can do this. In a meditation is one of the main ways. So let me reiterate, refocus, reframe. Once you understand where the emotion came from, refocus and reframe the situation around it. Don't change the emotion or force it to go away. Instead, flip the script and change the narration around the emotion. Apply the serenity prayer. What can I change about the situation? What can I not change? Do I know the difference? Write down your answers and follow through on the answers. And the last one kind of is a byproduct of this. I do want to credit a couple of people that I have followed for years that have helped me to come up with the ideas here. One of them is Lisa Romano. She's not a Christian teacher, but I've learned so much from her. And another one is Pema Chodron, P-E-M-A space C-H-O-D-R-O-N, and she's actually a Buddhist nun. And I know there's a lot of people that might not follow somebody like that as a Christian, but I've learned a lot from other traditions and from diverse people, and I'm very open-minded that God can use people in unusual places, and that's just me. You don't have to do that, but I'm just telling you that I've gotten a lot of insights that have been very helpful to my faith walk by giving me a different angle to look at it from. And that I've gotten a lot of ideas from these meditations, from them. Another one is Tara Brach. Not layering, though, is the last step and comes automatically. Not layering means that you allow the emotions to be there. It's okay to feel. Feelings are just indicators that something needs attention. Not layering means not getting disgusted that you're angry, or not getting frustrated that you're sad, for example. Start where you are. If a difficult emotion comes up, don't react to it. That's hard. There's going to be a space between the trigger and your reaction. That space within that area is where your power lies. And as you get more and more experience, that space is going to get bigger and bigger, because you're going to learn not to react, and then you're going to choose a different response. Is it possible to do that all the time? No, absolutely not. But you can learn to do it more, especially when you're in these healing processes. And then when you do that, you'll take these things that you learn in these healing processes and actually apply them consciously and unconsciously in your everyday life. But don't bite the hook. Stand back and choose how you'll respond. Let me repeat, not layering, no layering. The last step comes automatically. Not layering means you allow the emotion to be there. It's okay to feel it. Feelings are just indicators that something needs attention. Not layering means not getting disgusted that we're angry, or not getting frustrated that we're sad. Start where you are. If a difficult emotion comes up, don't react to it. Don't bite the hook. Stand back and choose how you'll respond. So those are the steps to the Acorn technique, and you can apply those to anxiety. And now back to anxiety. I know what anxiety feels like. I know how it can just cause you to freeze. And the 4 ways we can respond to some kind of trigger is fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And I've got other teachings that go into those. I'm not going to get into those. But in most cases, when you have anxiety or a lot of fear, you're going to respond with freeze. You're going to respond with one of these. But what I tend to do a lot of times is freeze. For example, when I started having some health issues, I just didn't want to do anything. I was scared because I didn't know what was going to happen. And I just wanted to hide from the world. So I understand what it's like to disassociate, to want to disassociate. And, smaller individual anxiety can cause problems too. It's that feeling in the pit of your stomach. It's your heart beating really fast. It's that feeling of adrenaline that doesn't feel good. It's not that good feeling of adrenaline like when you're excited or you've done a really good workout and you're just like, it sucks. It doesn't feel good. It's paralyzing. And when you get to that place, you've got to have the presence of mind to do something. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's not unhealthy. It might be going and listening to music. What I used to do when my anxiety was horrible, I couldn't function. I mean, like that. I'm not like that all the time when I have anxiety, but there were a few times where it would be that bad. I would just go watch TV, because instead of going down a rabbit hole where I had a full-blown trigger and a full-blown panic attack, if I would go turn on the TV and disassociate for a little while, it was better than having a full-blown panic attack or a nervous breakdown or a meltdown. I'm not suggesting that if your anxiety is moderate or somewhat severe or low. But when it's that, or have a meltdown that will cause you to be in bed for a week, go watch TV for an hour and just let that disassociate and disconnect, and then come back when you can deal with it. But most of the time, coming to and just doing something, anything that's healthy. Listen to some soothing music to calm down. Do a meditation. Go for a walk. Call a friend and talk to somebody. You won't always have a friend, and you don't always need to do that every time. But the Acorn technique, you can take all of these steps. And like I said, if you want to have it where you can see it in front of you and you can read it, go to the website and subscribe. You'll see, if you go to the ChristianEmotionalRecovery.com, the link is below in the show notes. Once you get there, you'll see free resource. Go there, sign up, and you'll get the infographic. And you can use the infographic anytime you need it to help you with anxiety. And it'll help you to be able to process that emotion. You may not need to do all of the steps. You might combine steps. But the first couple of times, you can just do each step for 2 or 3 minutes. It doesn't have to be an hour for each step. That's ridiculous. And, if you need a little more time for one, spend a little more time on one than another. And then if you find that you don't need to do as much time on one, then move to the next step. But if you find that you're not quite there yet, then come back to the previous step and spend a little more time with it. And then once you're ready, then you can move forward. You learn to trust your gut and how you're feeling, and God will guide you along these steps. But I just wanted to talk about the Acorn steps for dealing with difficult emotions and that technique, and how it can help you with anxiety. And I want you to know that I've been there, and I know what anxiety feels like. So you're not alone. And the thing about anxiety is it's isolating. It makes you feel alone. The key is to be able to connect with God, connect with another person, connect with nature. If you have a cat or a dog or a lizard or a bird or a squirrel, I don't care what, if you can just hold them in your hand and talk to them, somebody might think that's crazy, but if it makes you feel better, if that, they're listening, if they're a presence and they have a nervous system and they're listening, that will help you feel connected. And that can be helpful. Go on a Facebook group and just ask for help. And, like I said, I can't always be there to answer every question all the time, and that's why I rely on you to help each other out. And I try to respond as much as I can, but like I said, I have a household to run. I'm a wife. I have pets. I don't have kids, but I have pets. I have health conditions, so I can't do as much as a lot of people. I am trying to start a business. I work on this podcast. I teach. I have family. You get the idea. So I do what I can, but I can't always answer all questions and be there. And if I don't, please don't take it personally. Know I love you, but there are other people in the group, and if you can help each other out, that I greatly appreciate that. I hope that in the future I'll have resources to be able to have administrators that can monitor the group for me, and I'll come in, of course, on a regular basis as well. But until then, know that the group is also a place that you can go and get some help, even if it's just, what should I do? Or I just need to know that somebody's here and that I'm not alone. That is so important. That is everything. And that will help you with your anxiety as well as the Acorn technique. Thank you so much for listening to this video. If you haven't, click the subscribe bell and subscribe to the YouTube channel. You get things here that you cannot get on the podcast. Go to the website ChristianEmotionalRecovery.com and get the free resource that has this Acorn infographic on it exclusively there. And also subscribe to the Facebook group, Christian Emotional Recovery. Link is below. And subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already, which is also Christian Emotional Recovery, and you can subscribe to the podcast on the website, and there's a link there as well. Thank you so much, and know that if you feel anxiety, it's completely normal. There's nothing wrong with you. It's not your fault. It's how you deal with it that matters. And the anxiety is one of those things that will try to keep you out of your mind and out of yourself, and you need to come back in that moment and allow yourself just for a few seconds, what do I need to do? And then go do that thing. And it might be the Acorn technique or something else to pull yourself out of that fight or flight so you can come back and regroup and then be like, know what you need to do next and take that down a few levels. But God bless you. I know what that feels like. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, and God loves you.